Ken with Inevitable Unicorn Press, and today I have with me Rey Jean, an author of, well, I'll let her explain that part. She's quite prolific, and I like her journal style that she writes in. And she has a couple styles. I heard this because I was talking to Rey, and she has her Patreon account, and I'd been thinking about it, and she convinced me to give it a shot. Now, Rey followed me, and as part of the reward for following me is a consultation of 2 hours for her level that she followed me at. Now, we're doing this consultation on Zoom so we can share it with people and give them the experience of what Rey's learning.
Did you want me to talk about what I do mostly first?
Yeah, talk about yourself first.
Okay, cool. Well, as you said, I'm Rey Jean. So I write a lot of, most of what I write is fiction. A lot of it is fantasy and horror. There's a bit of a Christian spin on some of it. At the moment, I've finished a novel that I'm working on getting published, and I'm doing a journaling series from the point of view of one of the characters from that book. So it lets you have sort of unique perspectives into the novel that you wouldn't get from the actual novel when you do read it, and it lets me also figure out what's happening next. And I write anything from short stories to really bad poetry to this journaling series to novels. I write everything. As long as my brain's still in it, I'm putting it on paper.
I've read some of your shorter pieces and some of your longer pieces, and you have a good voice and consistent, which is what I like to see. You have some questions. Go ahead.
Well, the first one I was thinking of asking was just sort of how it was. I wanted us to talk about kind of our battles on trying to become writers. Because life is kind of difficult when you're trying to be a creator.
Creative life is not easy for anyone.
No.
In any arts. I had quite a long struggle with it, and I'm sure I'd like to hear your version. I'll share a bit of mine. I basically started writing when I was 5. I wrote a 12-page short story in a primer scribbler before the summer before school. My mom taught me to read and write before I was in school, but I've been writing ever since, and it's something I have to do. I can't go without writing. Mm-hmm. And we learn and we get better as we progress and write. The more we write, the better we get. Mm-hmm. We don't necessarily have to have an audience to start with.
Nope.
But we do get a sense of satisfaction when we get an audience and get feedback.
Yep.
I was first recognized for my writing in 1982 with an American Poetry Society Award for the Best New Poet of the Year. So I do write poetry as well as fantasy, science fiction, sci-fi, fantasy. I write in short stories, serial series mostly, but I write novels and standalone short stories as well. I was not the best writer when I was in college and school. I got zeros for spelling and grammar, like straight out zeros. But my content and my creativity got top marks. Mm-hmm. I actually took it upon myself to approach the college instructor and say, look, I know my grammar and spelling bites big time. Can you help me? And she took probably about a month after classes to work with me for an hour after classes. And I went from a 63 grade average to an 89 because she spent an hour. And that's when I won an award. And the following year, a fairly big publisher came to me and said, look, we'd like to take your poetry and publish it. So that was my first traditional contract.
Mhm.
In 2015, after 6 years of publishing online a blog myself every Friday, a traditional publisher in California came to me and said, look, we'd like you to write a serial series for us based on your character that you write for. So I said, okay, what's the conditions? And they said 48 short stories in 2 months, 3,000 words each. I said, you gotta be kidding me. And they said, you write an outline of what you're gonna do, and we'll look at it and we'll say yes or no. So I wrote the plot outlines for 48 short stories in about 2 hours. And I presented it to them that day, and they got back to me and said, go. No advance, but a contract for, I think it was 3 years of publishing. But I had to have it in 2 months, have 48 short stories. I actually did 50. That's writing, editing, and the words. My brain was tired after that.
I believe it.
There were issues with publishing and the short stories and distribution, which prompted me to purchase the rights back, the copyrights back, and the distribution rights. And I became my own publisher, and I published 5 books of the first, well, six episodes each in the first 5 books. But that's the struggles you go through. You learn as you go, and you don't always get those contracts. You don't always get audience. I had 6,000 followers following my blog, and this publisher said, scrap the blog, terminate it, because it's competing with the short stories. I said, you gotta be kidding, it's promoting the short stories. She said, no, it's competing with the short stories, it's drawing away our purchasing audience. I said, no, it's bringing it in. And they said, no, we want it gone. So as part of the deal to get the traditional contract, I had to get rid of the blog. That's 6,000 followers gone. You make sacrifices with contracts. You got to make the choice. Do you want to make the sacrifice or don't you? I made the sacrifice, and I made the commitment. You commit to writing if you want to keep writing, but you got to make choices every step of the way. You yourself have a book. You paid to have it edited. To get published, you have to edit. Now, most traditional publishers will tell you now it has to be edited before they'll accept it. When you're self-publishing, it's all up to you. There is nobody sitting there telling you this is okay or this is not okay, or they're not doing the work for you. You're the gatekeeper yourself.
Well, I think the big thing for me when it comes to questions and like we've gone into now the publishing section and kind of the big question that I have is really like, if I don't want to, have my work in someone else's hands, how do I make sure that I do it properly, that when I do publish it on my own, that it actually gets out to people? Because I feel like that's the main thing, that's the big divide between traditional publishing and self-publishing, is figuring out when you self-publish how to get it to people, whereas traditional publishing, it's a lot more difficult to get into. And I noticed, like, I don't think anyone would want to take my book because there's too much religion for most people, but there's also too much fantasy for the religious people. So it wouldn't satisfy any of the companies would think that it would be too risky to put out, mostly, from what I would assume. So
okay. So there's about three different questions there.
Yeah.
First of all, the genre, publishers in your genre. There are publishers that will publish your work, traditional publishers. But like you said, getting them to publish it will be difficult.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people trying to get them to publish their work. So your quality, going back to your original part of your question, the quality of getting published, self-publishing. When do you self-publish? Like what quality do you use? There are so many people self-publishing now. And there's kind of a term, indie publishing, which is publishing under an imprint that's self-publishing and publishing multiple authors. To self-publish and to be recognized and to be taken seriously, your quality has to exceed traditional publishing. So you're going to have at least 3, maybe 4 levels of editing. Your layout and your formatting and your cover have to exceed the quality of a traditional publisher. That's just the way it is. Otherwise, you're not going to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
You're not going to have the market that a traditional published author will have.
It's kind of like when you're trying to get hired, and there's always the thing of your employers looking for like a certain diploma next to a certain experience. And it's like, I don't have the education, but I have the thing, you know, and it's kind of the same sort of concept almost, I feel like.
It's like having life experience without the diploma.
Yeah.
Some employers won't take you seriously without the paperwork.
Yep, exactly.
Even though you have the years of experience.
Yeah. That's basically how I feel like that's sort of the comparison to the traditional versus self-publishing.
Yeah. Yeah. I find, how do I put this? Like I take master class courses with like Mark Dawson's self-publishing formula, and I follow Joanna Penn's creative pen. There's so many of them, and they have excellent advice, and they teach you how to get out there. Tim Grohl was coming off one type of employment, struggling, didn't have an income to pay his rent, mortgage, and created #1 bestsellers for other authors in marketing. He marketed #1 bestsellers because he took the time and effort to learn the marketing of books.
Yeah.
As an author, you are your own marketer. You are your own creator. So this goes back to the original question, creative, you know, you are your own creator. You have to be better than the rest of the market. Only 10% of creators actually ever get recognized.
So you got to be in that 10%.
You got to be in the top 10% if you want to be recognized.
Yep.
And to be there, you have to work at it. It's not going to be handed to you.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the funny part for me, is that I'm not new to writing, but I'm brand new to the idea of actually trying to get my work out there and noticed by other people.
Yes.
Most of the time I just write things and be like, hey guys, look what I did, and hand it off to all my friends and my family and stuff. And now I'm like, I kind of want to share these with the entire world.
Okay. One statistic that's out there is that 80% of writers and authors of all their works only sell 250 in their lifetime.
Oh,
maximum of 250. Most only sell 50, a maximum of 50. But 80% only sell, 83, I think, 83% is the number, only sell 250 of their entire work volume. So that leaves 17% that are selling more than 250.
Yeah.
So you're selling, these 83% are selling to their friends and family. And that's all their work volume. So if they have 6 or 8 volumes divided by 250, you know, that's not that many. Selling more than $2,000 worth of your writing is, I think, only 12% of writers.
So I got a lot of work cut out for me.
It's a long road to hoe. You're farming and you're raising a crop that is not an easy one. That all being said, we're creators. We're problem solvers.
Yep.
So we have the drive. You've been writing for years and creating for years, so you have the drive to do it.
Yeah.
Now it comes to the point where you got to sit down and say, am I committed to make the habits and the schedules and the motivation to do the next step?
Yeah.
Make the marketing and the promotions and the extra content and the content that's going to sell.
Yeah. That's another one that I had on the list too, was overcoming the actual like problems with motivation. Like, you know, you're I've got a full-time job and it's a very people-y job, so by the time I come home I'm exhausted because people make me exhausted.
Yep.
And then I'm trying to figure out how to decide to write in my days off when I just want to sleep.
I understand. You work, I know where you work, and it's very people-oriented. I worked in a similar job. I worked parts at a dealership for 9 years, front counter.
Yeah.
8 hours a day. People, constantly. People. You go home, you don't want to talk to anyone. You don't even want to talk to your family.
No.
You just want to sit down and bury your head. But yet you got to carry on and keep going. So what's the motivation? I worked for 9 years from 2004 to 2013 in parts. I started writing again. I quit writing and I started writing again in 2009 because I needed to release that tension from work. So I wrote a blog of 500 words every week. Wrote and produced a blog every week of 500 words that I published Fridays. And then on top of that, I got a group together that we gamed on a storyboard every day. There's 5 of us. Now it's a moderator. This was my release. So what was my motivation? Release.
Yeah.
But that evolved to relaxation. And that's not answering your question. That's my way of dealing with the tension. But
I feel like the motivation question is a very personal one, though.
It's very personal because each person is different.
Yeah.
Why do you do what you do is different for each person.
Yeah. So what motivates that is going to be different for every person.
Exactly.
Just got to figure out what my motivator is.
So
I know
to be productive is a different question again. Motivation to be productive. Like I'm in a new project now. My motivation is to help people to solve their financial issues and overcome the lack of knowledge on financial issues.
Yeah.
But also my current set of motivations is to help writers and businesses build their brands and platforms to promote themselves.
Yeah.
Right? So my content is my writing is old hat that I do because I enjoy it. I do all this stuff because I enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah.
I have health issues that I'm not in a position to hold a full-time job 8 hours a day. So I work 40 minutes, relax for 10 to 15 minutes, and then work 40 minutes again. And then I may work 3 hours one day, may work 8 hours another day, 5 hours another day. I had to learn to relax and do that and take the stress off because I would drive myself so hard, I would only sleep 3 hours a night. I was working 14 to 16 hours a day.
Mhm.
Driving myself to this health condition. So
Yeah.
you gotta learn to relax. Come on, kid, relax. That's your motivation. Stay
Yeah.
healthy. Stay healthy. So relax.
Yep.
Create,
Yep.
do your job because your job pays the bills, but get a job that you're good with and you're happy with so you can write to make you yourself happier
Mhm.
so that you can be healthy.
Yeah.
And being social with your family and your significant other is part of being healthy.
Yep.
So it's all a balancing act. I
Yep.
use the term act lightly.
Mhm.
It's not an act, but it's part of life. You gotta be
Yeah.
balanced in life.
Yeah.
And sometimes some of us don't learn it until we're 48 or 49. Some of us learn at 15 or 20.
Mhm.
It's just life.
Yeah. What I've started to do is I'm actually starting to block my days and plan them out. So like the days that I work, I'll have like a minimal thing that I want to work on, or I'll tell myself, okay, well, at work you can work on this project or this project if there's time and stuff like that. And then I just sort of pick one of my 3 days off. I work 6 days on and 3 days off. So I'll pick one of my days off where it's just specifically for all of the things that I want to get done. Just do a little bit of each of the things. And then I'm starting to work on figuring out a little plan for the days that I do work, and then like I can still do a little bit of something, and then I can feel accomplished, so I don't feel bad when I just want to play video games with my boyfriend, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to work on now is just planning things out and actually like putting my writing into a position where it's like work too.
Yeah.
Because that's the main thing I'm always hearing about is you can't, if you want to write to make money, you can't write like a hobby.
No, it's not. It can't be a hobby. It's got to be a job.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I've started
for myself.
to do.
I use the 6 goal system. I have 6 daily goals, 6 weekly goals, 6 monthly goals, and 6 yearly goals. And I don't have to achieve all 6 goals in those periods. I shoot to achieve 4 of the 6, but I make 6 so I can have 6 to work on.
Yeah.
And then if I achieve 4, that's a minor success. If I achieve 6, that says major success.
I'm taking notes on that part.
Huh?
I'm taking notes on this part.
Okay. And so I'll slow down because I tend to talk fast. So on a minor success, I get a small reward. Because it's always nice to have rewards when you do something well. And for a major reward, I get a major success. I give myself a major reward.
Mm-hmm.
But if I fail to make a minor reward, I have a penalty. Now, for myself, I make monetary penalties.
Mm-hmm.
So, like a weekly fail of 3 to get 3 or less completed goals is $10.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the year at Christmas time, I have this pot of money for fails, and I take that as gifts, charity gifts or non-family gifts.
Yeah.
Right now, it's sitting at $80 for the year. Now, a monthly fail is $50, so
yeah.
I had 1 monthly fail. So it's kind of not a bad sign that it's only $80.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good then. You're doing well then. Well, considering how much tracking I'm doing with like money right now to like figure out how to be able to get out on my own and all those fun things. That would probably be a really, really decent motivator because I'd be like, I need that $10.
Yep. It is a huge motivator for many people. The rewards
Mhm.
on a weekly minor reward is a coffee out with a friend or writing partner.
Mhm.
A major success is a lunch out and a day off.
Days off are nice.
I managed to stack. My calendar says I have nine full days off.
Nice.
I save them up for a holiday. And I have 15 coffees racked up.
Nice.
I
Me
spent.
and Jonah have been taking.
Pardon?
I said me and Jonah have been taking some of those.
You took one. The other one was just work.
Yeah, that's a really awesome system. I'm
But
always.
you know, one thing I would recommend is social activity. And what I do is every Wednesday morning is I go out for writers and authors coffee, what I call writers and authors coffee. I either go to 1 or 3 restaurants in town. And whoever
Nice.
stops by, I'll just chat with. So,
Oh, cool.
so 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 or 11, I'll just sit there and I'll make notes or talk with whoever stops by.